Chapter 23. It was 8 o'clock when we arrived on land. We walked by the water for a short time, enjoying the fading light. Then we went to the inn. From there, we looked at the beautiful view of the lake, trees, and mountains, even though it was dark. We could still see their black shapes. The wind changed. It became very strong from the west. The moon was high in the sky and started to go down. Fast-moving clouds covered the moon, and the light grew weaker. The lake showed the wild sky and the waves that were starting to rise. Then, suddenly, a heavy rainstorm began. I had felt calm during the day. But when night came and I couldn't see clearly, many fears filled my mind. I felt nervous and ready for danger. I held a pistol in my coat. Every little sound scared me. But I decided that if someone tried to kill me, I would fight back until one of us died. Elizabeth noticed that I was nervous. At first, she said nothing. Then, in a soft and scared voice, she asked, "What's wrong, Victor? What are you afraid of?" I said, "Be calm, my love. If we can get through this night, we will be safe. But tonight is terrible, truly terrible." An hour passed. I began to think about how horrible it would be for Elizabeth if there really was a fight. I asked her to go to her room. I said I wouldn't join her until I was sure the danger was gone. She left, and I walked around the house, looking in every corner to see if the enemy was hiding. I saw nothing and began to think maybe we were safe. But then, suddenly, I heard a loud and terrible scream. It came from Elizabeth's room. At that moment, I understood the truth. I dropped my arms. My whole body stopped moving. I felt the blood slowly moving in my body, and my limbs tingled. This feeling lasted only a second. Then I heard the scream again and ran into the room. Oh God, why didn't I die then? Why am I still alive to tell this terrible story? Elizabeth was lying on the bed, dead. Her head hung down, her face pale and twisted, and her hair half covered it. Wherever I looked, I saw her lifeless body. She looked so peaceful before, and now she was murdered. How could I see this and still live? But life is strange. It stays with us even when we don't want it. I fainted and fell to the floor. When I woke up, people from the inn were around me. They looked shocked and scared. But their fear was nothing compared to my pain. I went to the room where Elizabeth's body lay. She had been moved and now looked like she was just sleeping, her head on her arm and a cloth over her face and neck. I rushed to her and hugged her, but her body was cold. I knew she was gone. On her neck, I saw the marks from the monster's hands. She had stopped breathing. As I stood by her in total sadness, I looked up. The room had been dark before, but now the moonlight came through the window. I was afraid. The window was open. And there, standing outside, was the monster. He had a horrible grin on his face and pointed at Elizabeth's body. I ran to the window, pulled out my pistol, and fired, but he escaped. He jumped into the lake and disappeared. The sound of the gun brought people into the room. I showed them where he had gone. We followed in boats and used nets, but we couldn't find him. After hours of searching, we gave up. Some people thought I had imagined everything, but we also searched the woods and the grape fields. I tried to go with them, but I was too weak. My head felt dizzy, and I walked like a drunk man. Then I fell to the ground. I had a fever. They carried me back to the house and put me in bed. I barely knew what was happening. I looked around the room, searching for something I had lost. After some time, I got up and went to the room where Elizabeth's body still lay. Some women were crying. I stood over her and cried too. My mind couldn't think clearly. I thought about everything that had happened: my brother William, Justine's death, my friend Clerval's murder, and now Elizabeth. I didn't know if my father or my brother Ernest were even still alive. Maybe the monster had killed them too. This thought made me shiver. I decided to return to Geneva as fast as I could. There were no horses, so I had to go by boat. The wind was strong and rain poured down. But it was still early in the day, and I hoped to arrive by night. I hired men to row and rowed myself, too. Moving my body helped me forget the pain in my mind. But soon, I felt too sad and tired to row. I dropped the oar and covered my face with my hands. Sad thoughts filled my mind. When I looked up, I saw places I had visited with Elizabeth just the day before. Tears filled my eyes. The rain stopped for a moment, and I saw fish swimming like we had seen before. But nothing felt the same. My life had changed completely. The monster had destroyed all my happiness. No one had ever been so sad as I was. Why should I talk more about what happened after this? My story is full of horror. My friends were all gone. I was alone and weak. So I will finish the story quickly. I arrived in Geneva. My father and brother Ernest were still alive. But when I told my father what had happened, he was heartbroken. I still see him in my mind, his eyes empty and sad. He loved Elizabeth very much. She was more than a daughter to him. He could not live with so much sadness. His health quickly got worse. A few days later, he died in my arms. What happened to me next? I don't remember well. I lost my senses. I only remember darkness and chains. Sometimes I dreamed of walking in beautiful fields with my old friends. But when I woke up, I was in a prison cell. People thought I had gone mad. I stayed alone for many months. Later, I got better and was released. But freedom meant nothing to me unless I could take revenge. I thought about everything the monster had done. I became filled with rage. I prayed for a chance to catch him and punish him. I didn't just sit and wish. About a month later, I went to a judge and told him I had something important to report. I told him I knew who killed my family and asked him to help me catch the murderer. The judge listened kindly. He said, I will do everything I can to find him. Thank you, I said. Now listen to my story. It sounds strange, but it is true. I have no reason to lie. I spoke calmly, but with strong feeling. I had decided to find and kill the monster, and this goal gave me a reason to live. I told the judge everything, clearly, with correct dates and without shouting or emotion. At first, he didn't believe me. But as I went on, he became more interested. Sometimes he looked shocked. Sometimes he looked surprised, but not doubtful. When I finished, I said, this is the being I accuse. You must use your power to catch and punish him. It's your job. I hope you will also feel this is the right thing to do. His face changed. He had believed me a little before, like someone listening to a ghost story. But now I asked him to act, and he seemed unsure again. He said gently, I want to help you. But this creature sounds too powerful. Who can follow something that crosses frozen seas and lives in wild caves? Also, it's been months since the crimes happened. Who knows where he is now? I believe he is near. If he hides in the Alps, we can hunt him like a wild animal. But I see you don't believe me. You won't help me punish him. I was angry. He saw the fire in my eyes and said, you are wrong. I will try. If I can catch him, he will pay for his crimes. But I'm afraid it may be impossible. Still, we will try. But you must be ready for the chance that we will fail. I can't accept that, I said. Even if revenge is wrong, it is the only thing I live for now. The monster still lives, and I cannot rest while he walks free. I was shaking with anger. The judge looked at me like I was crazy. He tried to calm me, like someone calming a child. He said my story sounded like madness. Man, I said, you are blind in your pride. You have no idea what you are saying. I left the house, angry and upset, and began to think of what else I could do.